LaVar Arrington, former NFL Penn State linebacker. He's got a podcast up on Game, College Football Hall of Famer, and good to have him back on the program. LaVar, it's been a while. How are you?
Very well, sir. How are you been?
I'm doing okay. If I said you got to pick which team goes further, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
I mean, I'd have to go with any team in the NFC, right? I mean, if you think about it, the problems that Green Bay have are very different than the problems that Tampa Bay has. I'm not certain that Tampa Bay's problems aren't fixable, whereas, with Green Bay, it just looks like the cupboard went from being full or half full to not being properly stocked, Dan. So I would most likely say, the NFC East the NFC as a whole is wide open, but I think that they have a really, really strong defense in Tampa Bay. They have great weapons on the offensive side of the ball. They just got to put it together.
As you're watching Green Bay and the Commanders, you played for Washington. Mm-hmm. Do you root for Washington?
Yes, I do. I do root for the team. I root for the fan base. I love the city. I love the fans. I love the team. I just don't like the owner. As I've made, that's been clear for a really long time. In fact, if you go back into the annals, DP, I'm probably the first one that was out here talking about how crazy the dude is and how he handles things with his business affairs. But that was during a time where it wasn't very, very pronounced, and I got a lot of flack and a lot of blowback on it, as if I didn't like the fans or like the city. But it was really the owner that I disliked, and still dislike, by the way.
Is there one moment that stands out?
Oh, there's a few. I mean, there's a few moments. I mean, they tried to paint a picture like I couldn't learn defenses. They had Joe Gibbs on board with it. They had Greg Williams on board with it, and there was an assassination attempt on my character during the time that there was a contract issue, which, by the way, I did just to help the team. If people remember what took place, but. Yeah, I mean, probably the contract situation going the way that it did is the most memorable because I didn't have anything to do with it. They asked me, did I want to redo my contract to help the team? I said I would. I did it. There was a discrepancy in the contract, and the rest kind of went from there.
Yeah, I'm surprised the other owners don't say, you know what, this guy's bad for business, but maybe they're worried that. It's going to be return fire and going, oh, you're going to talk about what I'm doing? Maybe I'm going to tell people some of the things. And there's some powerful people that he probably has dirt on.
I mean, you'd have to assume, and that was released, right? I don't know how true the statement was, but I mean, the sources that released those reports that those were the things that were coming from Dan Snyder's camp that, he's taking the whole ship down if they kick him off of it. You'd have to assume that there's some truth and validity to the things that were being reported. So I don't know where that all stands, but I mean, good for business is having an owner of a franchise that understands how the community works and how sports work, and at the barest minimum how to talk and treat the people that work for you.
Well, also the product you put on the field. You traded for Wentz, and I don't think there was a market for him, LaVar. It felt like if they didn't get him, he was going to be a backup quarterback somewhere. Taylor Heineke is fine until you find a franchise quarterback, if you do. But the product on the field has been subpar. We're talking to LaVar Arrington, and you can hear Up on Game, the iHeart podcast, Plexico Burris, TJ Hushmanzada. Also, Two Pros and a Cup of Joe, the show that precedes ours. I listen to it every morning coming in, Fox Sports Radio, with Brady Quinn and Jonas Knox on that program. Do you guys give Brady Quinn grief? I mean, he's almost too good looking. He's a
perfect looking man.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a great voice. He's a young Dan Patrick. Like,
Oh,
you probably got a lot of grief when you were younger.
yeah.
You know, you probably still get grief now. You know, it's just those strikingly good looks and
Thank
the
you.
fine voice that you guys
Oh, yeah.
boast. We got to give you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
a hard time. I mean, somebody's got to do it. You know, and they hired me to be a part of doing so.
But you hate quarterbacks, right? Quarterbacks always are the good
I
look
don't.
guys. They get
I
the
don't hate
cheerleader.
them. I don't hate them. But I certainly never really liked them. You know, I just don't hate them. But in terms of, you know, the cheerleader department, I had game, DP, so I didn't have to worry about the good looks. My game was good, you know.
Were you one of the first guys to wear? Didn't you wear 11?
I did. I create. That's me. 11 is me. I am Mr. Sticks, the original.
But were there any? You look faster when you wear a number like that. But I didn't know, given the position that you played.
Yeah.
You know, usually you're wearing a number in the 50s.
A bigger number, like
Yeah.
a 50 or 40 or, you know, but Derek Brooks wore number 10. So I ended up getting number 11 because I wanted to be Derek Brooks. I wanted number 10 when I went to college, but it was taken. And I was kind of like a little butthurt about it, but they were like, why not be the first you instead of the next Derek Brooks? And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I thought about a number that a linebacker had never worn and made famous, and I came up with 11.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame. Do you make a case if people say, should you be in the Hall of Fame?
No, I don't.
Do you fight for it?
No, I don't. I had a good career. I think you know when I went to New York, if I would have been there, my contract was for 7 years. Had I been a part of those 2 Super Bowls, you can't put Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame if LaVar Arrington doesn't go into the Hall of Fame. I would have made a case if I'd have got two Super Bowls, but 3 Pro Bowls isn't. I don't. That's certainly not enough.
And then College Football Hall of Fame.
I'm the best. I'm a GOAT. I'm not even like, I stack my career, I stack my highlights as a defender. I stack them up. Only person that I'll say better than me in the annals is probably Charles Woodson. I'm probably like the best college football player that nobody really talks about. And I sound self-absorbed, DP, but you know what? This is the final frontier for me. This will be the last time that football is something where there's a destination for me. Which is going into the College Hall of Fame in December. So I'm just kind of living in that right now.
Okay. So you're not talking about the best defensive player in college football. You're talking about the
I'm
best.
saying defense.
Oh,
no, I'm saying defense.
So Charles Woodson's the best defensive player.
I think Charles Woodson's the best player all time, period. I think if you look at everything he's done at every level.
Oh, so you're saying the best football player if I take in college and I take in the pros?
Well, with Charles Woodson, with me, I just say college defensive side of the ball for me. I don't think I'll take my chances in the debate.
So Charles Woodson, the greatest football player.
I think Charles Woodson is the greatest football player from top to bottom, from inception of playing till the time he retired. I think he's the greatest football player ever.
Let's look at the AFC right now. It feels like it's just Buffalo and Kansas City.
And you would be correct.
Okay, but I'm going to make you a defensive player facing. You can face Mahomes or Allen in the playoffs.
If I had to choose, I'd rather play against Allen because he's a more physical grinder in the game. Like, he'll bring the game to you. And so that would give me some type of hope that we could actually turn it into a game. With Mahomes, he delivers the ball from so many different angles, and the route progressions that they draw up, the schemes that they draw up with Coach Reed it's been unsolvable. He's in a zone. And no one has caught up to him yet.
Yeah, I guess as a defender, you want the guy he's going to be right there in front of you. Josh Allen is going to be right there in front of you.
He's going to be right there in front of you. Yeah. Absolutely.
He's a big guy. I love it. I think people don't realize how big quarterbacks are because we see what you guys do to them. But,
Right.
being around Matt Ryan's a legitimate 6'5", maybe 6'6". Roethlisberger was a big guy.
Big guy.
I mean,
They're
there
big guys.
a lot of those guys. But
Which makes you wonder why the referees treat them like big old babies, right?
well, okay, solve it for me then.
I mean, it's contact football. It's contact sports. I say there's two ways of approaching this. Either allow them to be a part of the game or don't. Don't let once you get to a certain perimeter, all this technology, create an invisible parameter like
A dog fence.
Yeah, sure. Like what they do with diamonds and stuff like that. You got the, you got the security. The little red lines around. Put the real red lines around and make that the sack, so you don't have to touch them.
I don't know how Micah Parsons yesterday, and you're going, wait, he got called for roughing. Somebody got called for roughing. They pulled somebody down by one finger. It's already tough enough. It's tough enough.
If you touch them, it is. If you touch a quarterback anymore, I mean, the one with Chris Jones was crazy. Like, that's crazy. Like, you got to him. You're getting the ball. You're going down. You're both going down. You're trying to secure the ball. The ball is still kind of in the balance. You're trying to secure the ball. You land on him, and they said you put too much force, like too much of a percentage of force on his body when you landed. Like, wait, what do you mean too much of a percentage of force on his body? I don't get that. But there's all kinds of different rules that are governing and protecting quarterbacks. I get it. They sell tickets. They're the pretty guys, as you mentioned. They do great interviews. They get the cheerleader. But you know what? There are other guys out there that make the game go as well, that would like to have a little bit of time to enjoy with those quarterbacks on Sundays.
What do you think is going to be that mark of if you get above this number with sacks, that's going to open the door for being a Hall of Famer? Is 100 sacks the number?
I mean, if you get to 100 sack club, you have done something amazing. Does that get you into the Hall? I don't know. I don't know. But that is a tremendous accomplishment to get to 100 sack club.
Aaron Donald just got over 100 as a tackle.
Yeah. He's from where I'm from. We're Pittsburgh guys. He's from Penn Hills. I'm from North Hills, but our families are from the same area. I'm super proud that he's from where we're from. I think he's certainly the greatest defensive line defender. I haven't seen a guy as dominant as Aaron Donald since Reggie White. Like I'm a big fan of J.J. Watt. I'm a big fan of Warren Sapp in the way that they played the game. There's a few more out there that I really like their games as defensive linemen, defenders. But Aaron Donald is something of another, and I enjoy watching him play. He's undersized, but he is a brick S house, and he understands how to contort his body and how to manipulate the hands and the shoulders and leverage points of offensive blockers. I just love his game. I love his motor, love his game.
Who's the greatest? So you think Reggie White, greatest defensive player? NFL history?
Greatest defensive player in NFL history, which is now being challenged by Aaron Donald. Defensive player ever, I would say Lawrence Taylor. I'd say Lawrence Taylor still is the most dominant defensive player we've ever seen. But when you're talking about the versatility of being able to do the things that Aaron Donald has done from the different positions that he's done it for the amount of time that he's done it for, it's up for question. But keep in mind, Lawrence Taylor did get MVP of the league, and I believe he's the only defender to ever get that accomplishment. When you get that good, anybody gets that MVP of the league award, DP, then now you can start to have the conversation of they may be better or greater than LT. But until then, that man still stands on a mountain alone.
Good to talk to you. Congratulations on the College Football Hall of Fame.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
That's LaVar Arrington joining us. The Up on Game iHeart podcast with TJ Hushmanzada and Plexico Burris. Also, 2 Pros and a Cup of Joe.